Greetings from the city of brotherly love. I am Fernando Mendez, host of the Roundtable. We invite you to listen to our discussion of the themes of the day when we bring you regional, national, and international news. Señores oyentes de Usala Media, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa La Mesa Redonda, The Roundtable, desde el corazón de la ciudad del amor fraternal. Les habla Fernando Mendez. Dylan De Rosato and Phil Fisher are controlling this program, and I have two special guests. Bill McKenna is a business development manager from Zebra. He will explain later on what that's about. And somebody who might be familiar to our audience, Drew Murray. Welcome, the two of you.
Thank you.
And so before we get into the meat of the program, there's a little clip that we have prepared just for our amusement here, and then we'll continue with our topics.
Since the last time I was here, Mr. Walker has been talking about issues that are of great importance to the people of Georgia. Like whether it's better to be a vampire or a werewolf. This is a debate that I must confess I once had myself. When I was 7. Then I grew up.
Okay, well, thank you for that. It's a little bit of humor. Vampire and werewolf. Anybody who's been following the election in Georgia has seen Herschel Walker making an ass of himself with the whole vampire werewolf. He had no idea and nobody knew what he was talking about when he came up with that.
Well, I don't think anybody knows what Fetterman's talking about still, Mr. Mendez. So let's both sides. I don't think he knows what he's talking about. We're President Biden, by the matter.
Wow. Anyway, the topic of the day today is sports. Apparently, Drew came. That clip was from CNN. I'm sorry, I forgot to say that. Anyway, Drew apparently came ready to fight.
You said we're talking about sports, and you started.
Yeah, we are.
Obama.
Well,
It's a sport. Politics is a sport.
Yeah, right. So it's sort of a mean sport, but it is. But you're not really a defender of Herschel Walker.
I'm
Really?
Not. I am.
No.
I am.
You know, the biggest
I'm a
moron.
defender of the Republican slate. We'll say that.
Herschel Walker is without a doubt the biggest moron ever to be running for any office.
No, I think Fetterman and our current.
No, he's not. He had a heart problem, a health problem. He's not a moron. Your candidate, Herschel Walker, is a total certified moron.
He was a heck of a football player. Come on.
Who got hit in the head? He got hit in the head too many times. Don't know about
Well,
sports.
Mr. Mendez, you had a lot of head balls in your day. I think you've gotten hit in your head a lot because you used to be a lot more conservative. I don't know what happened to you.
Oh no! Let's not go there. Okay. My connection to these two individuals is St. Joe's Prep. We're all proud of that in our lives because I think the St. Joe's Prep has produced generations of very strong intellectual leaders and athletes. By the way, you know, we had a quarterback, Gannon.
Rich Gannon.
Gannon. Yeah, he. What was he? Oakland.
Played for Oakland. Yeah.
Oakland. Yeah. And there have been others, but what we're hoping is that they'll produce more soccer players. So
DeAndre Swift right now in the NFL.
Yeah, we have a few NFL players right now.
Yeah, and but people from our area, not necessarily from St. Joe's Prep. Christian Pulisic, who scored the goal, the winning goal in the last game, is from around here. From
Lancaster. Yeah.
Lancaster.
Yeah.
So must be something in the water because, okay, this is what I want to say. We had a week, almost 10 days maybe, where the Eagles, the Phillies, the basketball team, everybody was doing well.
The Union?
Even the Union went to the final game. Unfortunately, one of my favorite players of all time, Gareth Bale, scored the goal against the Union.
Where was your rooting interest there?
in the game.
Where was your rooting interest?
Well, in the Union.
All right, just checking.
No, come on. The Union, but it was just that when he played for Real Madrid, he was one of the big stars. I mean, you could count on this guy to come in with 1 minute left in the game and put a head ball in and score.
We also scored against the U.S., right?
But then, yes,
That's the person who tied
That's
the
right.
Welsh, yeah.
That's another one.
Player.
So he's a great player, but they're out of the race now. I think Wales is out. So you've been following the World Cup?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a soccer fan. I grew up playing football. I tell my dad I was too good of an athlete to play soccer. I had to go out and play football for the prep, but I absolutely have followed soccer my entire life. I'm a big Union fan. I go to probably 4 or 5 Union games a year. And yes, I've been following the World Cup.
It's a betrayal of your family heritage.
Not really. I mean, my dad had 3 sons and 3 football players. And of course, I was the best. My brother Jimmy was 4 years ahead of me, and then my younger brother Chris 5 years behind. I was the only all-Catholic in the family. I remind them.
I imagine the conversations at the dinner table. Yeah, Thanksgiving would be fun.
That did come up at Thanksgiving. I reminded them that I was the only all-Catholic.
Anyway, so Bill, I introduced you as a business development manager for Zebra.
Correct.
So what?
I've been in the IT world most of my career, and for the last, I guess, 11, 12 years, been with Zebra. We are a enterprise mobile computing company. You see our stuff everywhere, the Amazon driver, the FedEx driver, the postal system, they all use our mobile devices, and my role is to buy back used equipment, we refurb it, and sell it back to our existing customers in North America and Latin America. So I work with our customers and our partners in North America and Latin America to do that.
In Latin America, yeah. So how's your Spanish?
I took German, you know that. I didn't take your class at the prep. German doesn't help me well down in Latin America.
I have a former student who was one of the few people I had one class of German, and he is the manager of one of the restaurants downtown. So when we went into the restaurant, he says, Herr Mendez. Like a new one. Señor. Most of the people say, Señor. Good to see you. But he says, Herr Mendez. Anyway, so that's what you. But you're a soccer aficionado. No. Now,
growing up was all like the top 4. I grew up in Philly. Right? Everything Philly sports. Baseball was always number 1. I was always a Phillies fan.
Right.
I think as a kid, I may have caught some inning of every game for a number of years, and just been very passionate about the Phillies. Mm-hmm. My email address is philsfan4ever. What more can I say? But yeah, I catch every Eagles game. I watch every game. I can't miss it. Mm-hmm. I do follow the Sixers and Flyers every once in a while. I actually used to share season tickets for the Sixers, so. So those are my go-tos, like a lot of Philly fan, and I'm just that casual soccer fan that will watch it. It's very enjoyable.
So how do you feel about the Phillies' performances this year?
There was a time. It was like I think a week before the season ended. They had a doubleheader down in Washington. They were down 14-5, and they had one of their infielders pitch, and it's raining. And look at this team. They were at that point just barely in the playoffs. Like, forget it. It's over. Even if they make the playoffs, what are they going to really do? And fast forward a month later, they're two games to 1 up in the World Series. They only had to win 2 more games. It would have been parade on Broad Street. It's just that month was such a gift to a sports fan that came out of nowhere. I was fortunate enough to go to a couple of the games, and they were both won those games at home. That World Series game when they won 7-0. Boy, that place was just rocking. Yeah, just goosebumps the whole time. So,
can they do it again next year? We already lost. Who did we lose? We lost Zach, right?
Zach, yeah. But they're going to spend more money. They have money to spend. It's. Harper out for about half the year next year. That doesn't. He was out for a couple months this year. They did very well.
But he's out for half the year.
Tommy Johnson.
Yeah, he just had surgery. He'll probably come back similar where he can only bat and not play the outfield. But his bat's probably the most important thing. But it's nice to get him to play defense as well.
And what other player has, like you hope that they come through with?
Well, their top two pitchers did very well. Zach Wheeler has been a stud since we acquired him. And Aaron Nola, it is his last year on his contract, so we'll see what happens there. He's had a history of sometimes falling off towards the end of the year, but he really pitched very well in the playoffs. A couple bumps in the road, but so those two guys are solid as far as a 1-2, and then. They do need to make sure the bullpen's always a crapshoot. I think they need to get a bullpen. Ranger Suarez is the third pitcher, is great, but their offense. The key is Castellanos. They paid him a lot of money. He's been a stud hitter, and this past year fell off his average. So if he just plays who he has been traditionally, that's a really big boost for the team. But to capture that magic again, I don't know. It's a tough for them to climb that hill again. But it was a joy.
Yeah, well, it lasted. It was really, as I said, it was that period there of 10 days maybe, but all the teams seem to be.
The Eagles were undefeated. They did. Some people say it was a weak schedule. But they did beat the team that only has one loss, the Vikings, early on. They did beat the Cowboys. They were beating them big time in the first half, and the Cowboys came back. But now the Cowboys think they're better. We'll see on Christmas Eve. We play the Cowboys. Be interesting. But maybe by that time we'll already have the division wrapped up. We won't need to play all our starters. But they got the best record in the NFL right now. It's exciting. Got a tough game coming up this Sunday. So we'll see where things
as long as the quarterback stays healthy,
Yeah, he takes a lot of hits.
Because I remember, was it Wentz that was supposed to be like the franchise quarterback.
He was having an MVP a year, and then he tore his ACL. And then he's never been the same.
Never been the same.
So what is he playing now? He's playing someplace.
He's back up in Washington. Well, he's hurt. The new guy that came in has really resurrected their team. So
the Washington team had to change their names. To
the Washington Commanders.
To the Commanders. When I saw that, I was like, "What? I never heard of that team." I had no idea. And then I found out it was the Washington Redskins that had become the Commanders. And somebody was complaining. I saw MSNBC, Morning Joe. They were talking about the change of name because these people, a lot of the reporters and people, they live in Washington, and they were talking about how the Redskins had a wait list for years that you could not get tickets, and all of a sudden with the change of name and all that stuff, it's all gone.
Oh, is that right? I didn't realize.
Yeah, so they had to start to build an audience,
a brand.
A brand.
Yeah.
So that's what's tricky about changing names. I mean, you probably were thinking about that. Do you think the name would not affect the?
I don't think we should. Well, I would say if there was any team that should change their name, it is the Redskins. It is a derogatory name. But you look at the Cleveland Indians. I don't know. I don't think an Indian is a derogatory name. Redskin is meant to be derogatory. So I actually understand the change in that. But if the Eagles changed their name, obviously they're not going to. But I would not have thought their branding would have changed that much. I mean, look at the Commanders now. Their uniforms look exactly the same. The same colors. Everything in the brand is the same. They just went to Commanders. I'm surprised that it would have fallen off that much. Yeah.
I mean, they were talking about that. It has something to do also.
Who was the idiot that came up with Commanders? Because the short for that is commies.
It has something to do with it.
It's interesting. They didn't do the C on the helmet. They did the W for Washington. So I think maybe the name might change down the road. They can keep the W.
Well, they had Washington football team. I actually liked that. I thought that was
clever.
Well, no, I thought it was it felt like soccer.
It has something to do with the ownership too of the Commanders. I think whoever owns the team,
Snyder.
I think they're trying to sell it or something. They were talking
being
about,
forced to sell it. Yeah.
and I think Bezos is interested to be.
Well, he lives in Washington, right?
Yeah, right. Well, and he would have the money to buy it.
Yeah, he has the
So
money.
he probably has the money to buy all the teams.
That is true.
and have them all play against each other. Like, oh, well, that's my own personal game here. It's amazing, that kind of wealth. But the ownership of a team has a lot to do with it. Like, I think we're lucky in Philly. The Eagles owner is...
Yeah, Jeffrey Lurie. He's been consistent.
Yeah.
I think he stays out of it. I think that's why he's such a good owner.
Exactly.
He doesn't do.
Yeah.
He owns it. He takes the money. He takes the paycheck. He does a lot of good things on the environmental end, but he just stays out of the football operations themselves.
Yeah, some people say he meddles a little bit, but
is that right?
Yeah. There's been a few articles written about that, but
not like Jerry Jones.
not to that degree.
I never read about that.
And now his son, Jeff Lurie's son, is now shadowing him. So I think you'll see a succession there at some point. But if he's anything like his father, I expect him to be successful.
Then, the Philadelphia Union had a great year. I mean, they, as we know, they went to the finals in Los Angeles.
Just cleared that last ball. The game was over. And they gave him one more shot, and that was all it took.
And
tied it and then lost in shootout.
That Gareth Bale goal that saved it, and then they had to do it. That's so unfortunate that you would slip to score one penalty, and that it's just one mistake and you're done. So I really don't like this shootout. When you get to a shootout, because it could happen to any team. Then it doesn't matter. It's just sometimes luck.
Yeah. Think about that in terms of other sports. Imagine baseball games tied, and they decided to get a wiffle ball out there and see who can hit it over the wall and see who wins the game.
Oh, I would like that. Let's do that. I think it's a good idea.
Go on forever sometimes. These soccer games, you replay it. You can't.
Yeah,
at one point, it's just these guys you can't even.
Yeah.
They can barely walk anymore. They're so tired.
Maybe the tiebreaker could be shots on goal or something like that.
Yeah.
And the soccer players aren't as tough. I mean, geez, you touch a soccer player and he falls and acts like he got hit by a car.
Thanks for that. We'll come back with.
We'll come back to that.
We'll come back to that
How come soccer
topic.
players fall so easily?
We'll come back to that comment a little later. We're going to take a short break here in Usala Media, the Roundtable. Estamos en compañía de Drew Murray and Bill McKenna, hablando sobre deportes. Regresamos en un momento. Pagano's Market and Bar has been serving gourmet Italian foods in Center City for 3 generations. Call Matthew Pagano for all your catering needs, and during these difficult times, please mention Fernando Mendez and receive a nice discount along with free delivery. Pagano's also makes the finest gift boxes in the city for all your holiday needs. Visit paganosmarketandbar.com. Señoras y señores de Usala Media, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa La Mesa Redonda de Roundtable. Les habla Fernando Mendez en compañía de Bill McKenna y Drew Murray, hablando sobre deportes. We're talking about sports mostly, although my friend Drew wants to promote his candidacy. What are you running for?
City Council at large. And did you see I brought the Spanish? No, I didn't. I thought this was the Spanish.
Yeah, well,
I grabbed the wrong one. I meant to bring the Spanish version.
Yeah, you're apparently very confused about languages.
Well, I didn't learn much Spanish in high school. I don't know who the teacher was who taught me, but I didn't learn it.
I didn't teach you.
You did. You're right.
So in self-defense. I did teach a lot of people from the prep that once in a while I see them. Now, Bill brought me into this group, the class of 1980.
Correct, yeah.
And they have invited me to a few events.
He's in our text string.
Oh,
Yes. So,
are these cocktail parties?
No, games.
So it was last fall. We did a Sixers game. We had a suite. And we had more people there than we had at our reunion. And the second one was just a couple weeks ago.
The Flyers.
We did the Flyers game. Where there were seats there. We all stood around, chatted. I saw some friends I hadn't seen in 40 years.
Well, I have discovered when you go to the stadium, one of these events, and it's a group like that, you almost never see the game because you're more interested in the people you
It's a good venue
encounter.
for it. You know, it's background noise. It's
Right.
Were you
gets
in a
everybody
box
together.
that you
We
could
were
sit
in a
around?
box.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I like getting part of this group.
Right. You want to be part
I'm
of
with
this?
the hoi polloi down in the stadium. I got to get with the 1980.
Well, you know, it takes an individual. We have somebody who leads, puts all the money down, and says, "Just come and whatever you think is the right contribution back to me." He's a tremendous guy. So shout out to Terry Mulhern for putting that together.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Well,
But yeah.
I know you made fun of the union, fun of soccer
I didn't make
players.
fun of the Philadelphia Union. I made fun of the soccer players a little bit.
Well, they are soccer players. The Philadelphia Union, they're actually
But I'm
a
a-
soccer team. But you think that soccer players are flimsy.
I don't. I was joking, Mr. Mendez. I know it's a hard.
I want to introduce you to a couple of soccer players who will take care of you.
I don't know about
so
that.
be
I
careful.
grew up on the main line, Mr. Mendez.
Be
That's a
careful.
tough neighborhood.
Keep looking over your shoulder. It's a tough neighborhood. You grew up.
tough neighborhood where I
Yeah,
grew up.
right. Well, Villanova is a very difficult neighborhood. Yes.
I grew up a few blocks from here up Olney, so there's a tough neighborhood. A little tougher now.
Well, I do have the debate with my dad all the time. Who's in better shape, football players or soccer players? And he always says soccer players. He said, we're running around the whole time. Football players, you're hardly running during a game. I'm like, Dad, run 20 yards as fast as you can, and now run 20 yards and get hit every 2 yards the whole entire way. And you see where are you more tired after the 20 yards of getting hit or the 20 yards of running? Football players are in better shape than soccer players.
There
I
are
don't
no
think so.
fat soccer players.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, I'll tell you. Well, you look at these guys. Even like Jason Kelsey. I bet if he could sprint, and when we were that young, even he will blow us all out of the water. You think these guys are fat and out of shape, but they're fast. They're incredible athletes.
Yeah, Jordan Davis, who we're missing. What's he? 360 pounds, and he runs I don't know.
I bet he runs like a 4.5 or
Yeah,
something
it's
crazy like
incredible.
that.
Yeah, it's amazing that last game I saw how when they actually attacking the ball, all of them, and you can see the crowd moving.
Yeah.
Somebody who's very strong carrying that whole bunch of people in one
Pushing the
direction.
scrum, right?
Yeah. So that's football players are a different kind of athlete.
Yeah.
But there are no, as you say, there are no fat soccer players. Remember, golfers used to be fat.
Yeah.
Like it was not considered a sport even. It was like
There's a few left, but
What
you're
about-
right for the most part.
No,
Pretty
I think people like I guess some of the new generation of golfers, particularly
Yeah.
after Tiger,
Yeah.
because Tiger also is in great shape. I think he sort of
Mickelson has that dad bod,
yeah, well. So it's a different sport than it used to be, I think. I don't know. How about the Flyers? Anybody here?
How about him?
They're not doing well. That's
No?
what I'm a casual Flyers fan, or I will say I am a fair weather Flyers fan. So,
Yeah.
when they're not doing well, I don't really watch except to know the scores and to know their
It used to be said there are 17,776 Flyers fans. The rest could care less. They're the ones that go there and sell out the Spectrum for those years. They still have the Stanley Cup parade pictures in their bedroom and
They remember the Broad Street Bullies?
Yeah. But I don't think the sport has grown much in the city. There's the diehards, and it's that's their number one sport. God bless them.
But it's been a while. This is the first time the Flyers have been bad for this long. They
Yeah,
were always the
yeah.
good team. They might have a year or two down in my lifetime, but they've never longer than, it's been like 5 years since they've
Yeah.
really had a good team.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know this year they have a number of injuries. I know they gave some bad contracts out, but it's a combination of those things. And this coach comes in with a lot of cred, street cred, and I guess a little bit of finger pointing, and It's not a good thing.
I remember when Ed Snyder, who used to be in the news all the time, the owner of the Flyers.
Yeah, now it's Comcast owns the team.
And there was no salary cap back in the day. So Ed Schneider, if he wanted to put a good
Whatever he
team
wanted.
together, he would just write a paycheck. Now there's the salary cap that really prevents you from getting good very quickly.
Are they mostly Canadians, a lot of them?
You get more Americans now than you did before.
Yeah.
You got a lot of programs that, I guess a lot of New England colleges are strong ice hockey programs that generate a lot of NHL players. So yeah, there's more now than.
Is it a tough sport? Talking about being in shape, that's one sport. What bothers me when I go, and I have gone very few times to an actual game, I never see the puck. All of a sudden, I just see the light when they score, but I don't know where it came from.
Yeah. It's good live low down. You see the speed of the players.
Were you near it?
The hits.
Yeah.
Television is okay. It's much easier. If you're sitting up high, it's a little difficult to follow the game.
And I think you got to learn how to do it. When I first started watching hockey, I couldn't follow anything. I didn't know where the puck was. The same thing when the light went on, I jumped up and cheered, but that was about it.
Somebody scored.
When someone scored.
I don't know. Bill might remember the victory. What was that in the Olympics? Was it?
Yeah,
that we beat Russia.
Yeah. Do you believe in miracles?
Yeah,
That was
right.
1980. Year.
That was fantastic.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah. They actually had to win one more game to get the gold medal, right? So
But
that got them into the.
One memorable game.
Just David and Goliath, the ultimate David and Goliath.
Yes.
It's not televised live.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And didn't they lose someone like an exhibition match like a few weeks earlier or something? Or maybe it was a different team. It was like a friendly right before the Olympics.
If they
had 10-0 or something.
If they had spreads back then, I think we would have gotten 10 goals going into that game. But
And the announcer was a prepper, I think. Jim something or other.
do you believe in miracles? Right. We're having
McKenna?
senior moments.
Jim something. Anyway, yeah. He that wasn't his real name. He changed his name for something else. But anyway, so he was from the prep. I remember that clearly. The prep has some very well-known graduates like Mayor Nutter.
I was going to say, well, a lot of politicians and politicians to be.
And now,
Current mayor. You want to talk about great politicians, our current mayor.
No, that's a disgrace. And what a terrible mayor.
Did you teach him in high school?
No, I did not.
I think my father did. I'll have to see how he did in his class.
Yeah, I would like to see a transcript of this guy. I would like to see Donald Trump's transcript.
Oh, there we go. You always got to switch him, Mr. Mendez. He's not Mr. Mendez. Let me make an announcement for you. Donald Trump is no longer the president.
I would like to see his transcript. He threatened everybody. Nobody can see anything that he did. Herschel Walker, I'd like to see his transcript.
They probably would not be good.
No,
How many rushing yards he had in college?
Yeah.
Come on.
That's it.
And he played for the Philadelphia Eagles toward the end of his career.
Herschel Walker did?
Yeah,
did.
he did. He started out with the New Jersey Generals. In fact, he played for Donald Trump's team in USFL.
Wow.
He played for a few teams. I think he was with the Cowboys, but toward the end, he was with the Eagles.
Yeah, there was the big trade with Minnesota where they gave up all the draft picks to get Herschel. And then that team just went downhill when they gave up all the future for Herschel.
Yeah, so I had no idea that he had played for the Eagles. But, over the years, the Eagles have had some fantastic teams. I mean, like the one that won
another kind of surprise. I mean, that came out of nowhere, really. They had so many guys. When Carson went down, you mentioned Carson Wentz earlier. I mean, he was the MVP of the league, right? And we're looking at that like, how can we make through the playoffs? And here's this Nick Foles that, he was a much different player. You had to restructure the whole offense around his game. And boy, that Super Bowl was just
That was
magical.
amazing. Yeah.
Just magical.
Yeah, you never know when one of those backbenchers comes in and saves the game.
Yeah, I think there was only like one punt in the whole game.
Yeah. You had to feel bad for Brady, right?
No, never feel bad for Brady. So is he back with his
still
wife?
Playing. He's not married now, right? Or
I think he's still married, but
that's right. Technically,
Play like it goes back and forth. I don't know what kind of game they're playing. Yeah. But some of those things that happen in the media. I mean, the recent. Not related to sports, but I mean, it's Kanye West and Trump having dinner
with
the Nazi.
Supremacist, yes, Nazi. Yes, I don't.
Do you approve of that?
Of course, I don't approve of that, Mr. Mendez. I don't know. He claims he didn't know that the person was a Nazi, but I don't know how the Secret Service is not vetting every person that comes into the door of Mar-a-Lago. So, he still has Secret Service protection. So why are they not vetting something like
With
that?
all this stuff that has happened related to the Secret Service, it used to be such like highly respected outfit. Secret Service. My God, it was if you were in a career in law and order, that's probably one position you said like, wow, that's my dream. And they lost some of that.
Yeah.
It began in Colombia, actually, the scandal in Cartagena, just because one of the agents refused to pay the prostitute he hired,
Right.
and then that was the whole scandal.
I guess there's a sense of, you're in the secret, society that nobody's going to find anything about, and so, you're protected, and you have a sense of entitlement around that, and maybe social media is part of that things get out, right?
Right. I think
Everything gets out.
I think as we speak, they're now testifying someplace before the committee or in court or something. And hopefully we find out what really happened when Trump wanted to go to the Capitol with his people. He wanted to lead the revolution.
That would have been interesting if you got a hold of that steering wheel, as they say.
Yeah, right. So we'll find out now because they're gathering more and more evidence. That really happened, that he wanted to go there.
Oh, yeah.
But they stopped him.
Yeah.
Actually, lucky for him because I think if he had been there,
Right.
That would have been a whole different story.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we...
We talk about sports and, Republican, Democrat, whatever. The parking lot before those Phillies games, or in the stadium, it doesn't matter, black, white, Republican, Democrat, whatever you are, everybody got along. Everybody's there marching to the same tune. It's just really an incredible feeling. When whoever Harper hits a home run, you're high-fiving everybody. You're not asking, what political party they are.
Right.
We're all together in this thing. It's the Eagles parade, same thing. Everybody just, together. It's a great feeling. It really brings people together.
Well, one surprising thing, and we're going to take a break soon, in Iran, many people celebrated the fact that the U.S. beat Iran in soccer. And that's a surprise.
Yeah.
And that's because the government of Iran right now is the most unpopular on earth. Anyway, so we are in the company of Drew Murray, who is running for office, and the other friend is Bill McKenna, both from St. Joe's Prep. We had an interesting conversation about sports and, I guess, politics also. No se vayan, regresamos en un momento.
Jason, let's go see your room.
What do you think? We kept it a little spare, so you can decorate it how you like.
Dinner! Go?
Excellent. Yeah, I saw you guys out there.
Señores oyentes de Usala Media, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa La Mesa Redonda de Roundtable. Les habla Fernando Mendez en compañía de Drew Murray and Bill McKenna, and we're talking about sports and politics because Drew is running for
City Council at large, 2023.
City Council at large. Is this your second try at?
That's well, I was third try actually, City Council. I ran in 2019, and then there was the special election a few weeks ago.
So are you following in Trump's footsteps, losing every election for a while?
Every election? No. I knew I was losing a couple weeks ago because I was going head-to-head against a Democrat.
Okay.
In 2023, I will be going against Working Families Party.
So are you going to win this one?
I will win. Oh, yes. This was always a long game. When I announced in 2019, 2023 was always the goal. And the Republican Party's already endorsed me and one other person, Jim Hasher, for those two seats.
So is that because they're Republican seats? That must be.
Well, they're not Republican seats; they're minority seats. So
in this city, that's what it means.
Right now there's of the 7 at large, only 5 can come from one party. So in the city like Philadelphia, it's 5 Democrats. So those 2 others have traditionally gone to Republicans, but in 2019, the Republicans lost one of those seats to the Working Families Party.
Okay.
So Kenya Brooks took one of those seats. So there's only one Republican at large council person now, David O.
David O, who's actually very active in the community. He's especially involved in the Hispanic community.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
He can be found almost at any event related to the Hispanic community.
That's because Republicans do things for the Hispanic and Latino community, where Democrats have been promising for 70 years, but have not really not done much.
Hey, you won't get me to disagree with that. That's one of my pet peeves. What happened to no more poverty, the war on poverty after Lyndon Johnson, and then we have more poverty, not less poverty, since then. But it's both parties, Democrat or Republican. They have done little to solve the problems of poverty or the problems of drugs or crime, guns.
Well, in the city of Philadelphia, you cannot blame the Republicans for that.
Yeah. I just saw a guy crossing the street around City Hall with a gun in plain view. I guess he must be an agent or something because.
Can you open carry in? I don't know.
That's what I was wondering.
You might be able to open carry in Pennsylvania.
Didn't they say except in parks and?
If he was in Delaware Plaza, then he probably was not allowed unless he was
an agent,
or an agent of some kind.
But he looked dressed like a civilian. Yeah. He was, with a swagger. Like, okay, I guess. Anyway.
So where do you stand on the Sixers, the proposed venue now in Chinatown?
I think it would be great. I think bringing a stadium to Center City would be incredible for Center City, incredible for the city as a whole. I liked when the Phillies were going to come, but I understood that was a little different. That was 50, 60,000 people. Right. Sixers it's only 20, and it's right near public transportation, so I don't think it's going to be an issue.
Yeah, I agree. I think people are looking at it the way it is now and say, how do you get 20,000? You have to think in the future what transportation could be, right? I think there's lots of agency studies about different things we could do with moving people and parking and. We need to look forward to what it could be, not what it is today.
Well, even if you look at the public transportation down to the stadiums, for someone like me who lives in Center City, it's easy. Yeah. I walk to City Hall and I jump on the subway. Other people coming from the suburbs and everywhere else, they have to get to the city and then get down the Broad Street line. Where the proposed stadium is, everything is coming together there. Every regional rail line from the suburbs can get to what is now, I think, the Jefferson Station, and you walk upstairs and you're there.
Yeah. I've done the 95 trek. It's been horrible. I think construction started there with reduced lanes beginning in 2007, right when Phillies got hot, and it's been that way ever since. And you never know what it's going to be, and it just takes a lot of the fun out of going to games. And getting out of the parking lots is the other thing.
I drove to an Eagles game a couple weeks ago. I've said I hadn't done it in probably 20 years, and I will not do it ever again. It was so hard. I was running late, and I was with Pastor Phil. We were going to the game, and I will never drive to the game again in my life. And I'm going on Sunday, and I will absolutely be taking either Uber or public transportation.
I think your problem is to be with Pastor Phil. That's what it is.
I was the one driving. I actually made a wrong turn and ended up going south on 95 again after we had gotten off. So it was fully my fault.
So the big topic of the day and the week, the year for us is the World Cup and what is happening there with the U.S. team. Some of the experts are saying that finally we have a team that looks like they could go all the way, maybe to the final, maybe not even win, but to be at the final game for the Cup. That alone would be a great achievement.
No question.
But they have acquired, so far they have achieved a lot already. And that goal by Christian Pulisic that put them into the next stage is what we have a clip of that particular goal, so maybe we'll show it now. Well, if it's showing now, it's Christian Pulisic scored the goal that put us over Iran. A defeat that actually I was telling you before somehow was celebrated by many Iranians because their government right now is so unpopular on the fact that a woman was killed by the fashion police. Wow.
I will say it's amazing what soccer players can do with their heads. I mean, that was right on the nose.
Right.
A perfect pass off your head.
Off your head, yes. So some of the great players actually do that, like no. Pelé was famous for that. Pelé, one of the great players of all time, he was famous for his ability to head balls into the goal. This clip is from Fox News. And well, thank you for that, because it's one of those goals that will be remembered for a long time, because there was this was towards the end of the game. I don't recall exactly what, but they still had time in which they had to defend, and that's always a very tense time for players, because if you only have one goal advantage, the other team can come and tie the game, as happened to the Union in Los Angeles. So
Iran had a lot of time possession after that goal, right?
Yeah, right. So anyway, this guy Pulisic has been a really outstanding player in the English league, in the Premier League. I think he plays for Chelsea. I'm not sure if that's the case, but he plays for one of those teams. And very competitive. He has become one of the stars there, scoring many goals for them.
Yeah,
hopefully he can come back.
Yeah, I read the Inquirer this morning, and his father made him play up, right? 2 years, like when he was 6 years old, he played with the 8s. When he was 8, he played with the 10s, and always just, and he was right there with him. So he credits his father for really pushing him. Yeah.
Wow, yeah, that I mentioned Shaquille O'Neal. I saw a story about him, and that was one thing too. His father kept saying, like, you have to do this, and his father actually pushed him forward into becoming the athlete he was.
Yeah. My father said, get on the air with him, Senor. That's as far as you, and then you don't make it.
Oh boy, yeah, there we go. But one of the big surprises for this Cup is the performance of the African teams. So Ghana, Cameroon, Tunisia, and then Saudi Arabia, that initially, I forgot whether they beat Argentina or Germany, I forgot now which one. But anyway, so the African teams have been a big surprise. There's one of the guys, I think the coach of Cameroon, maybe. He reminds me of the old actor Johnny Weissmuller, who played Tarzan in the movies. He's a very tall man. You can see he's in great shape. He wears a tight shirt, and he looks like Tarzan in the movie. But he's a great coach. He has brought 2 or 3 African teams to the World Cup. So he must do something something right. And I see in social media, he's one of the stars of
He's a good-looking guy, so he's getting a lot of play on social media.
I know that, yes. He and his wife, apparently.
Sounds jealous.
Oh, girlfriend. No, not really. I'm jealous of the fact that he's a great coach. As you know, I coached St. Joe's Prep.
Yes, you were a great coach, Mr.
I was helping your dad with the team. I coached the junior team for a while too. St. Joe's Prep actually has a great tradition of soccer, of sports in general, because in football we did very well too.
Yeah,
right?
no, they're looking to get back to the state championship. I think it's the quarterfinal this weekend or the semifinal. I think it might be the semifinal. And then they'll be back in the state championship in action.
I remember so many times around this time of the year, like towards Thanksgiving, because that was a very important weekend for prep sports. It was usually football and soccer. I don't know what else happened, but usually an important game on
Well, it was Thanksgiving Day we used to play, and then the Catholic Championship in soccer, I think, was always the Saturday.
Something like that,
after Thanksgiving.
And I remember many times we went there with great hope that we were going to win something. Or the prep finally got the.
They finally won in 2010.
Yeah.
And in fact, I saw Pat Cardish this weekend, or on Thanksgiving. So he was the one who scored the winning goal in 2010.
Wow.
And talk about teams that weren't expected to go far. My dad had so many incredible teams that it was like, okay, this is the year. Justin Ciccarelli is the best player that ever walked through the doors of the prep.
Right.
Jimmy Wallace, one of the best soccer players to walk through the doors of the prep.
Jimmy Wallace was
Yeah.
one of the best. He was one of my favorites.
It's my time.
Yeah, and then the year that it was like, nah, they're good. But that was the year they won it. It was like no one expected them to win it that year. It was like they caught fire at the right time. I think they beat Ryan 5-0 toward the end of the year, and it was like, wow, they have a shot.
But what that proved was that it doesn't always, when you have the best player, one individual, that you're going to carry the whole team. It's when the team actually.
Exactly. You get the last guy to contribute. In
Absolutely.
some way.
Yeah, and that's what the commentators were talking about the U.S. team right now. That, okay, Pulisic is a good player, but they also, the people who actually support the team are all the players are very involved in it. So
They got to start scoring goals. They have only scored 2 goals in the first. First 3 games. Now they only have 1 against them, so.
Right. So sometimes that goal differential is what puts them in the next stage.
Yep.
So anyway, so we're reaching the end of this great show. Thank you, guys, for coming. I mean, any last?
This is called the Roundtable, but I don't see a round table.
This is the oval table
all right.
today.
You need to rename the show.
Yes.
My only comment.
It's like the Oval Office, Mr. Mendez.
Actually, we are. Thank you for that, because we are renaming the show. It's going to have a new name.
The
We will
Republican
introduce
Zone.
it.
It'll be called the Republican Zone, right? Are you stealing the name of my show, Mr. Mendez?
No, we will introduce. It's called the Compass, and we're going to start doing it's a different name.
Take a different direction.
Different direction. So all things change, and we hope we change for the better.
Good.
So,
Thanks for having us.
So no, thank you for coming. I mean, this
fun.
Has been enjoyable. I hope you come back.
I'll come back, Mr. I wanted to talk more politics, Mr. Mendez, but Pastor Phil said I did so well against you last time that you may never have me on to talk politics again. That's why he brought me on only for a sports show. He said that was a shellacking, Pastor Phil.
Drew?
He did.
Really?
He did.
Okay, come back. I'll send you a date. Come back and we'll have.
But we can't talk about Donald Trump.
No.
Because he's no longer the President of the United States.
You have no right to dictate principles. You come back and we'll chat.
You're going to come on my show then, Mr. Mendez.
Okay, I'll go on your show. So Drew's going to have a show. Anyway, señores oyentes de Usala Radio, muchas gracias por su sintonía en el día de hoy. Se despide Fernando Mendez en compañía de Drew Murray and Bill McKenna. This program was directed today by Phil Fisher and Dylan Di Rosato. Los esperamos hasta la próxima. Greetings from the city of brotherly love. I am Fernando Mendez, host of the Roundtable. We invite you to listen to our discussion of the themes of the day when we bring you regional, national, and international news.